Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode here on European Confessions. There is a message that I want to share with you guys, and this message, it reads like this. Hello, Brother Nashi, how are you? Can you please post for me as hidden identity? My brother, I am a woman who is currently staying in a foreign country, and me being here in this foreign country, I know that I am suffering. Currently, I am working as a maid. I am suffering a lot. When I look at the salary that I am earning here in this foreign country, it does not do anything for me that is meaningful. But when I look at my past, I can see that even though most of my relatives, they are like really wealthy, including my uncle, even if I want to return back home right now, I can live a better life than the life that I am living in this foreign country, working very hard for such a small salary. But what I have told myself is that it is far much better to be poor and to suffer than for me to go and stay with my wealthy uncle, as rich as he is. So this uncle of mine, what he did is that he came to the village, and when he came to the village, he took me to the city. When I was in the city, I was staying at his beautiful house. My uncle, he had his daughters that were still married and staying with their husbands at that time, but one by one they started returning back home, and my uncle was the one who was causing his daughters to get divorced from their husbands because of the bad advice that he would always give them. At that time, I was staying in one of his daughter's spare bedroom, but there was always that would happen each and every night. I would hear strange hissing snake sounds. And another thing that happened is that most of the people that grew up in the village, they can understand this. Like if a snake is very big, you can smell something like someone is cooking using sorghum. That is what I would smell on most nights, and I knew that there was a snake that was always moving around. On many nights, I would hear people that would be running around the compound, and they would be busy fighting with each other, making a lot of noise. And then I would hear cats that would fight throughout the night. These cats, whenever they would fight, it would be like people, human beings, that would be quarreling with each other. They never sounded like your normal cats. This thing, it happened when I started staying at my uncle's place. This happened for a month. After everything that had happened, it all suddenly went quiet. Then people started dying. My mother's relatives, they started dying. 4 of my uncles, they passed away within a short period of time. Then my grandfather, he had a polygamous marriage, and my uncle, he was like killing a lot of his relatives. But at that time, I thought that my uncle was someone who was a prayerful person, because he had invested a lot at his church, the church that he used to go to, and he had uplifted a lot of people in that church, at that church that he used to attend at. And what these people from his church had done is that, since he was someone who had invested a lot in that same church, they had given him this other seat at the front row of the church. That is where he would sit each and every Sunday. And they did this because he is a man who is very wealthy. My brother, soon after people had died like that, then the sounds started again. On that night, I heard that these were 2 cats that were fighting. So I don't know where I got the courage from, but I rose up from the bed, and I went and I opened the curtains, and I started looking outside. When I looked outside, I saw that indeed there were 2 cats that were fighting. But these cats, they didn't have your normal heads like a cat does, but these cats, they had human heads, and they actually had dreadlocks. It was quite scary. When I saw everything that had happened, I collapsed, my brother. When I woke up, I found out that my auntie and my uncle, who was holding a Bible, they were busy praying for me. They told me that they've heard someone screaming in my room, and they came and they found me lying on the floor. I had collapsed. Then they started praying for me. As for my uncle, I know that he is an evil man, but when he pray for you, even when you are sick like what, once he has prayed for you, you can actually get instant healing. At that time, I was not even suspicious of them. I actually believed that there was someone amongst our relatives that was trying to bewitch my good uncle, because he is someone that has a very good heart to people that do not know him properly. My uncle, what he started doing is that he then started fighting with his son-in-laws. He forced them to give up their children. He went and he got his grandchildren so that they can stay with him. All his daughters ended up dumping their husbands, and after dumping their husbands, he bought them houses in different locations. Life became so hard for me because now all of his grandchildren were staying in one place. I was constantly working when all of his grandchildren were now staying in one place. My uncle will always give his daughters bad advice to leave their marriages. There was one daughter of his who was the only one that was left who had a husband. So it happened that my uncle's daughter had an argument with her husband. She came and she reported to her father. My uncle then advised her to leave her husband. My uncle bought her a house and went and took his grandchildren by force from her husband. So one of the child that was taken by force was going to a school that was very far. So this meant that I had to wake up very early so that I can prepare for the kids. One day I had washed their uniforms late at night, so I said, since they have not yet dried up, let me leave them outside to dry. When it was the next morning, it was somewhere around 3:45. I woke up early in the morning. I went outside, my brother, but as I was walking towards the washing line, I felt like there was someone that was constantly following me. I actually heard a hissing snake sound, that same sound that I used to hear just before 4 of my uncles had passed away. My brother, when I was by the washing line, I had this other washing basket that I had, so I had told myself that it is far much better for me to do this job once. Let me fold these uniforms so that by the time that I'll be ironing them, I won't struggle. So I was busy just doing my job. Then I heard that there was someone that was speaking underneath this other peach tree. I walked slowly, my brother, until I saw my uncle. He was standing under this peach tree and he was holding a wooden plate that had something that was burning inside of it. It seemed to be burning coals that he had inserted inside that wooden plate, and he had a green tree branch that he was biting on his lips, and he was doing some incantations. My auntie then suddenly rushed out of the house. The way that she rushed out of the house, she didn't even have the opportunity to see that I had seen her husband, because it seemed as if she had woken up late for their early morning ritual. She was only wearing an African wrap skirt, and when she was underneath that peach tree with her husband, she then removed that African wrap skirt, and I found out that she had nothing underneath. She was not wearing anything. She then stood behind my uncle and she joined him in the ritual, and they continued with their incantations. My auntie, what she was doing as she was standing behind my uncle's back, she was actually calling out the names of my mother's relatives, including my mom's name as well. When you read my confession, do not mention the names of my mother's relatives. Just place some names that are just random. So my auntie will be saying Ben, then my uncle will respond and he will say that one, he is still alive. Then my auntie will say Mary, and my uncle will say that one as well, he is still alive. It was as if they were informing their altar, like who was alive and who had died. Then when my uncle said Gift, so Gift was my uncle. He had passed away after she had called out the name Gift, and my uncle, he then said that one, he has since passed away. When I saw everything, my brother, I immediately knew that my uncle and his wife, they are both witches. I then ran back to the village and I reported this matter to my mom. But what my mom did, it was just unthinkable. She said, I want to return with you back to the city so that I can speak with my brother. We both returned back to the city, but my mom, she surprised me. She reported me to my uncle and she said that I was thinking that my uncle is a witch. Everything that I had told her, my mom reported as it was to my uncle. So my uncle, he started hating me, and I was scared that maybe they were going to do something evil to me. I then ran away from my uncle's house and I stayed with my friend. On that night, I went with my mom as I was taking her to the bus station so that she can return back to the village. So when it was really late, my uncle only spoke with me and asked me where I was. That was the last time that I ever spoke with my uncle. He never got back to me and never spoke with me again up until today. Even in our WhatsApp family group, people do not speak with me because I went against the wishes of my uncle. I ran away from my uncle's place and stayed with my friend. I then came to this foreign country where I am currently working as a maid. This is my own story, my brother. Yo, dear listeners, right there was a message that was sent to me by one of our dear listeners. Yo, that is Africa for you.